Oh, we did?
I don't know. We're doing it right now.
Starbucks or Alexa whistleblower?
I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Pick one.
Starbucks. What's Alexa whistleblower? What does that mean?
That one's intrigued you, hasn't it?
Is that like Alexa spying on you and reporting like what you said?
Alexa is the whistleblower.
Well, it's okay. We'll talk about that one.
Okay.
So, hopefully this is okay. So, there was a man that was working for Amazon in China.
Oh, okay.
And they were making Alexas, Echoes, all those things. And he was a whistleblower.
Because he programmed it to say, help, I'm in danger.
Thank you. Kind of.
Is it really?
Kind of that way. He didn't program it to do that. I mean, okay. It's in China. They're clipping these things together. Like, he's not programming them, right? Mm-hmm. So he came out and said that the school children were working illegally.
Oh.
Well, it says illegally long hours. So
illegal. Children working in general.
In general, isn't that illegal? But I guess maybe longer than...
More than zero.
More than some children.
It was way more illegal than I was comfortable with.
But this dude, because of talking about this, the dude went to jail for 2 years and was tortured into signing a document that said that he had committed a crime
by Amazon. It's Amazon's prison.
We're not slandering Amazon. This is what happened?
Yeah, this is legitimately how it came about, and he's now saying that he thinks it's and I maybe wouldn't say that I don't disagree, but he's reaching out saying that it is Amazon and Jeff Bezos' responsibility to come out and help him to get out of jail and seek maybe some damages for being tortured.
Oh my goodness.
And put in jail for...
What kind of reparations would you offer to somebody that works for you and gets tortured?
I know.
Imagine sending David to a wedding shoot and he ends up getting tortured for 2 years. And we're like, hey, shouldn't have done that.
Well, even crappier, while he was in prison, his dad died.
Yeah, that kind of is a bummer when you're in prison.
Roll the intro. What the heck?
The Starbucks story was a little lighter, but you picked Amazon. So
I didn't pick it.
You were intrigued.
Confused what you were asking.
I could tell how intrigued you were.
What?
I thought it was like a would you rather for a second.
Oh my.
That's okay. Just for those people listening, David chose the story.
I did no, absolutely no.
And now you'll be tortured.
I didn't want that.
You chose it.
You chose torture.
My fate.
Oh no, somebody's gonna be upset about that.
Nah.
Oh heyo, what up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the TRIFLIX Cast, the show where the camera angles are different every single time, but it doesn't matter because we're here to talk about life. And filmmaking and art, and we interview these creative people every other week. We interview these artists every other week, and then we come together and we just have a little casual conversation, a little casual cast to talk about all the struggles that go into running a media production company out of the greatest town in the world. The greatest town in the world.
Greatest town in the world.
Columbus, Indiana, the best podcast.
Make sure you say Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah. Not Ohio.
Indiana's part of the world. Yeah. Don't worry about Ohio. They're not part of the world.
Well, the good news is the podcast can't go anywhere but up from here.
This is true. Started with torture, so.
Yeah.
Promise you the rest of the episode will not be torture to your ears or your eyes.
So give a round of applause. Let's introduce the host, David Baker.
It's me. Woohoo. And we got Cole Ankney. Woo.
He's the producer man.
I just realized that there are people listening and not watching as well. Go ahead.
And the most important of them all.
Ew.
Tristan Watkins.
Hey, what's up, guys? I got a hammer.
He's got a hammer.
I got a hammer. Oh, we got a hammer.
Wow.
This one's actually mine.
Well, as Tristan explained, this is a TRIFLIX cast. But what is TRIFLIX? Well, TRIFLIX is a media company, and Tristan and I run it. We do video, photo, audio, websites,
podcasts,
branding,
live stream, as you can see right now, which we are not live stream, but we're doing the podcast part of it.
Yeah. do a lot of cool stuff. If you guys want to support us, we'd be happy to do some work for you. So
yeah, we're based out of Columbus, Indiana, and we run the best podcasts, the best town in the world.
They don't know.
Yeah, for you listeners, if we got a little video of it. If you want to go into the YouTubes, that's where we put the video. Everywhere else you go, that's audio only, baby.
Audio only, baby, on all major platforms.
Yeah. So now that we've shilled,
plus some little ones.
Yeah.
So now that we shilled, let's talk about NFTs.
Yeah, we can talk about that because we covered this topic before it really hit the fan.
In season 2.
Yes, season 2. Link the episode in the doobly-doo.
Because we're not going to explain what NFTs are. If you're unaware of what they are, go and check that out.
Yeah.
Either in the episode that we link in the description from season 2, or you can do a little Googling.
No, David said link season 2. I want to link to all of season 2.
Just season 2.
Just watch all of season 2, and eventually
you'll see it.
You'll see the part about the NFTs.
NFTs was like towards the end of the season 2.
You really just got to watch all of the seasons for it to make this make any sense. So just start at season 1 and go from there.
I advocate it. Go watch all of season 2 and come back to check this out.
And then let us know if 3 is better than 2.
So what about NFTs?
Do we want to revisit we should have reviewed our takes, but I think my take is probably the most accurate one from when we first talked about
You've
it.
also learned a lot about them since then.
We talked mostly like David helped with his technical abilities and knowledge and know-how.
Yeah.
Helped to explain what NFTs are, and we spoke very briefly about what it could mean for creators. Is it good? Is it bad? Positive, negatives.
Right.
A very brief kind of conversation about it. Mostly just explaining what they are. Yeah. We just want to revisit this because it tends to get rehashed all the time, and everybody has different opinions. So,
and my major issue with it is just it was a solution that was being pushed to a problem that didn't exist yet.
Yes.
And so I was like, why do people care about this? I don't see why we need this right now. And like there's eventually we might find a use for it, but right now there's not. And so it's kind of a scam.
Someone needed to use the blockchain. That's all there was to it. The blockchain was sitting around, and they said, "What can we do with this?"
Yeah.
And they said, "NFT."
Yeah, and they said this is valuable, and now it's kind of like the bigger fool scenario where like the people got invested in it, and they're trying to trick you in a little bit to make money off of it and get out while they can.
Oh, we talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
David, tell the people what you told me about some of the things that have been happening and getting scammed and what's going on with that.
Yeah. So, like with the copyright stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So, the whole idea is like you don't own the image. Okay, everybody's familiar with like the monkeys or the apes.
You don't own the image?
You don't own the image. You own... you don't even really own it. You get a certificate. It's like the owning an area on the moon, like a patch of an acre on the moon, or owning a star. You just own like a piece of paper that says you own a star. But instead, it's like a link that goes off to where the image is hosted. Like you have an image online, your Facebook profile, and there's a link where that actually is held at. And so what's been happening is people have been uploading copyrighted material, and one of the big ones, the big hitters with this, is like album art in the music industry. You do not mess with anything in the music industry.
No.
And people have been selling NFTs of album arts. And what you can do is you can tell like Google or like the authorities that, hey, they are illegally hosting my album art at this URL. And then it can take it down. And so then the NFT just says you host a link that doesn't work anymore.
And what does that lead to? A dead link.
It's a dead link.
So if you want to buy
Tristan
a dead link,
is very familiar.
You buy some illegal album art.
Yeah, honestly, it's all above me. I don't get it at all.
Really?
I understand why people like NFTs, but I don't understand like outside of being an artist that doesn't like if I make a thing like and I want to sell it, and instead of doing Patreon I just choose to do NFTs instead because it's basically the same thing. You're giving for a small amount of money or large amount of money, I'm going to give this thing I made as an artist to a bunch of people and they can pay for it. And it's like I don't see why it's that different than Patreon other than it costs a lot more to mint. Do you mint an NFT the same way you would a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency in general?
It uses one of those networks, yeah.
So it's expensive. It's more expensive to maintain than any subscription-based platform to an artist. So for that reason, I don't really understand why you would choose one over the other.
There's nothing really tangible. With Patreon, you can just be like, hey, I want like a signed poster from you like every month or like something. You get something tangible. And with NFTs, it's like the absolute opposite scenario where like you don't even own a thing. You just own a piece of text that is like a URL that doesn't make any sense. And that can die at any time because if like you upload your photos to Google Photos and like that's the only place that you have them. And then Google decides it dies and it, whatever, they can't afford to host your photos anymore. They're gone.
Okay.
And that's a whole detriment to NFTs in this way. It's just like you can't trust. There is nothing reinforcing that this image is going to be there forever.
Yeah.
I think just the record that you own it forever.
Well, you don't even own it if it's on Google in general.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other conversation, though.
I want to talk about that next. That's a good one.
Yeah, whatever.
But like, I would rather own a physical art piece than an NFT. Like, I would own like a print of something that I paid to have like created.
I think that's the common misconception, though. Like, I think some people believe that this is the end all like option for making something digital more like actually tangible in an ownership way, and it's just not.
Yeah.
Like there is no replacement for physically having something in your hand and obviously having proof of purchase.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You saw the thing with Joe Rogan, right? With Beeple. He came in and he showed the box and Joe was clearly uninterested. It's just not his like it's not something
what did he
that
show? What box?
Yeah. So Beeple is the guy that popularized for the mainstream what NFTs are and what they do because he sold an art piece for like $69 million. It was like making art every day for a couple of years, and they sold the whole collection for
$69 million.
$69 million.
I think it might have been $69,420.
Yeah. And at that point, everybody was like, hey, we can make money off this. And then the IRS has said, hey, you guys are making money off this. And then everybody's paying taxes on it. But Beeple is the guy that made NFTs popular for the most part. That's the reason it got on like Fox News and CNN.
Yes.
So this guy comes on to Joe Rogan's podcast, which everyone knows who that is, and he gives him a box, and inside the box is this tangible form of the NFT. It's a printed off version of it. It has a serial number on it because that's kind of what an NFT is. It's like a serial number for the part that only one of one exists for it, even though it's digital and technically you can have as many digitals copy pasted.
Yeah.
Regardless,
right click, save as.
He has a photo. It's printed off. It's in acrylic. It's got RGB. It has a serial number. It's like 8 of 1,000 production lines. So there's a limited supply of this tangible product. And then in there is also like a USB with the key code or whatever for the NFT itself. Yeah. And that was like his tangible, hey, this is your physical thing. And then because you have this USB or whatever, I guess you could have emailed it to him. That's where your NFT is stored off in the ether, off in the internet.
The dark web. No, I'm kidding.
So, yes, NFTs in themselves, I think, is kind of silly as an artist because it's like it's its own thing, and it's like, well, somebody could have supported me online, and I could have just emailed it to him or whatever. Yeah. But
it's a like I said, it's a solution to a problem that nobody had. Like nobody needed this to be like a proof of like I owned this one picture that like like you didn't even request it to be made. You just chose a random one. It just doesn't really make any sense, especially when it comes to real art.
Yeah, dude, the album art thing has got me completely just mind boggled because it's like
it could be anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you could go online and right click and save an album art image, and it's like, why would I pay thousands of dollars for this album art image, and then like you really think I'm the only one? You know what I mean? Like I just don't understand the logic on spending the money on that. Like actual original art pieces, I get that, and I'm not saying that album art is not that, but again, it's like it's this thing that you could either go buy online or you could get a copy of, or again, you could right click it and save it for free. So I don't even understand the exchanging of
worth.
That.
Yeah, because there isn't.
No, I get it.
This is the unraveling that everybody's been dealing with for the past couple months. It's like, oh, this is so. Wait a minute. there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's going to happen is the same thing that happened like 10, 15 years ago where internet exists. Everybody has everything hosted online for free. Everyone can right click, and then everybody starts doing watermarks. And then SEO gets really good where like you have keywords. So when people type in waterfall, your stuff comes up first, but it's behind a paywall. So then in order to even right click something valuable, because everybody's going to watermark everything, and the only way to get the unwatermarked version is to buy what 20 years ago was, hey, go to a stock footage or stock photo website and then get your image there for like $20, $200 or whatever it is. Now it's going to be NFT based, because if you don't own it, then you can't use it in your media, and then maybe eventually it's going to be like in the metadata for the video or in the whatever content it is. So in like 20 years from now, we're going to be like, oh, I remember when you could just right click things. But the problem is that you can't right click things in the future. It's just, I think it's going to get to a point where nothing is worth right clicking, because everything's going to be behind paywalls. Everything's going to be hard to find, because even now it's like, unless you go to Wikipedia, that's like the only place whenever I'm looking for content, because everything is so well optimized by people that want to make money. And then the people that just post stuff for fun is like drowning underneath of all that content. It takes me like 3 or 4 of like Google, when you hit next or scroll past, it takes me 3 or 4 to find what I'm looking for anymore, because SEO's gotten so good.
So the only thing I can think of is that it's good for record keeping. Like that's the only, not for like value or anything,
right?
But for like some official way of saying like, hey, I made this first, which I would think would be valuable if you're like talking about like, you know, like in legal disputes, like, hey, who owned this? Or like, usually they would look at like the files and like say like, this person made this on like February 22nd, 2011. It's like, oh, you're the earliest owner of this copy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or you own the source files. And it's just...
But it's not going to work out that way.
Yeah,
it's going to be like YouTube's copyright system, where you make content and somebody uploads it elsewhere, claims your content, or claims a piece of it. So then somebody else owns the thing that you uploaded first or you created first. And unless you have money to take on legality of it and like take them to court, it's like you're not going to... A 12-year-old that made art that's getting ripped off, it's like maybe nobody buys it. But at the same time, say somebody does. That money belongs to the kid, but whoever stole it, they're not... The 12-year-old's not going to take them to court. A 35-year-old with like a family that doesn't have the time or energy or the money because they have a family to raise isn't going to take someone to court. So you're going to have these... like these companies with these like automated systems, the same way YouTube is a problem now with copyright. And people are just going to say, I own this photo, and keep minting or sending all of these off to get owned until and then they can go back and claim the person that originally created it.
Yeah, there's no like true uniqueness with it. Like you can't actually upload a video to like an NFT. You have to put it on YouTube and then make an NFT of like the YouTube link. And that's where it all falls apart, because it's so
it's all
dependent
hyperlink
on
based.
everything else. It's like you could put any amount of text in there, like you can type in like your name or whatever. And so that's kind of, it's supposed to be like kind of like a mini program on some level, but you can just put in text, and that's how you can like say like, I own this link. And I just don't see how like that's useful, especially for us. Unless there's
how
like
is this good for
it has
me?
to be like an integrated system, especially for like videos. Like if you want like proof of authenticity, like this is our video, and like if you want to transfer the authority at some point, like change YouTube accounts or something. I don't know. Like, it just still doesn't. There's no practical benefit that I've found, because a good example, like somebody said, like when computers were first like presented to people, like in the early like 70s. I think
someone
like
will
when they
correct
were
you.
like the size of like rooms, they were like, think about this. This could be like eventually sit on your desk, and you can work from home, and you can do your taxes, and you can work on computers, and you can connect to people all around the world. They had like very real things associated with this idea of a computer that nobody understood. And then you talk to somebody with NFTs, and they're like, it's the same level of enthusiasm, but they're just like, it's decentralized. So
there's value there, but that's more on the crypto side of like if you live in a country
tangible,
where you can't
use
spend.
cases to like anyone right now. It's like there's nothing
it's
there
stamp collecting.
for you to under.
Yeah,
it's a stamp collecting.
It's a stamp
sure.
and that's fine. I'm not saying you should be
There's
able to
nothing
collect
wrong with
stamps.
stamp collecting.
But
it's really cool.
There's
but
people
like,
that spend millions on Pokemon cards, right? And it's like that's its own thing. Like people, there's a limited supply of it. You want it, you put it off somewhere, you show it off because it's like it's a flex or it's something you wanted as a kid. But like there's not a whole lot of value in it. And then same thing with like it's created and marketed the same way YouTube's copyright system or the removal of the dislike button system was, where it's like, this is good for small creators. NFTs are good for small creators. You can make money without having to do a commission now. You can sell and mass produce as a small artist out of your house. But the thing is, nobody does like these big implementations of like, I mean, the amount of time and energy it required to come up with NFTs or, well, maybe not the removing a dislike button because that was probably a switch, but they're like, hey, we have this great idea. Just like my NFTs. They're like, we're doing it for the artist. And it's like, no, you're not. You're doing it for money. And then you're using small creators because it's a good thing to stand on. And it's like NFTs did the exact same thing.
Yeah. And every other company. Beeple did anything maliciously because it was still fairly new to everybody at that point. It was like, oh, okay, this is maybe a good way for me to make honest money with my work in a new age of computing.
Yeah.
And so I don't think Beeple is at fault for popularizing
He's
it
at
like
fault
in a
for a
bad
lot
way.
of things, in my opinion, but
but not that.
But not
like
that.
you can point to him, but I don't think he was malicious about it.
No, and it's one of those things where, we're not like hating on anybody that's been able to make money on NFTs. Like, I mean, I think more than anything, it's a hype train.
Yes.
And it's if you jumped on and you made some money, good for you.
Yeah.
We're definitely
it's the AMC of stocks.
Yeah, there you go. So we're not mad at you about that. We're not mad at NFTs. It's just like the people who are boasting it's this way for creators of all different sizes.
Right, leveling the playing field or whatever.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. And, I mean, I think if anything, it would be much better if we had some option to be able to embed that data, into the files, and no matter where it changed hands, there's just a ledger of data.
Right.
So that's like, well, Cole made the file, right?
Yes.
But like David saved it to his computer. You know what I mean? Like you can see like who it was in some capacity that had
and
used
see that's
the
an
file.
example of something being useful.
Yeah. It's like now I can see how many times this file has essentially traded hands. That's great.
Well, they want to use that too, so like the artist gets commission off of every transaction afterwards. So if the art increases in value, so like it's kind of a long stretch, but like that is the argument of why that serial data, and you're saying the ledger is of value to an artist. So it's not it is claimed to be good for the artist.
Yeah.
Claimed. But again,
it's all theoretical type things. It doesn't make it's very specific, like it's not very like groundbreaking for anybody really. So for people who already are trying to make tons of money off things that are already valuable.
But correct me if I'm wrong. There's nothing that's stopping like David from buying an NFT, having access to it, and then sending me a copy.
Right.
Right?
Right. You could just right click and download it as soon as you see me buy it.
Yeah.
Like
So
you don't download the NFT, but you download what the NFT is supposed to be protecting.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Which is like defeats the whole purpose of it.
So if you could tell me that literally it could just stop all transfers of this file.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Now we're in business.
Yeah.
See,
but
that's true
if only
ownership.
there's like a physical way to prevent you from like taking it.
No, I know. That's what I'm getting at.
Very active you seeing it on your computer screen, you have already downloaded it to your computer. So that thing is just gone.
Is it illegal to trace it? Like, can I put it in MS Paint and like, can I trace your NFT?
Tracing is looked down upon in the artistic world. It's not a very cool thing to do.
I'll just take the NFT and throw it in and image trace it on Photoshop.
Rasterize it.
Yeah, or in Illustrator. Yeah,
convert.
It's mine now.
Convert to the Illustrator file.
And big companies would be super into this way ahead of us anyway, because for them to be able to track like, hey, like this is copyrighted streamed material that only certain people should be allowed to have or have access to.
Yeah,
that'd be huge
for like any sort of transactions. They would have been looking into this way before it hit the consumers.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's true.
They are now.
Well, they're looking to make money off
It's the hype
consumers.
train.
It's
Yeah.
the hype train.
I mean, it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, we kind of had this discussion earlier today, and we'll talk about this here in a little while, but it's just like, you know, there's certain trends that can be beneficial to a company, and we're by no means shills. We're going to figure this thing out to make it beneficial, but also be artistic.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, Walmart doing NFTs, or let's just say even getting into the metaverse.
I don't even.
You know, you're like, they're just going, okay, these are buzzwords. How do we keep our name in news circulation? News circulation in front of the youths.
Big data.
That's all it is.
Dude, do you want to buy a T-shirt from Target with an NFT attached to it? Come
Just
on,
QR
kids.
codes.
Do you remember like growing up as like you would buy clothes as a kid at like department stores, and they would have like toys attached to the tag?
Oh, yeah.
Or like you'd go to McDonald's and the Happy Meal has a toy and it's like, hey kids, you want a cool NFT? And it's like the crappiest one they had.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, I'm picturing in my head, like, literally putting on your VR goggles and you go into the metaverse and you walk into the Meta Walmart and it's just full of NFTs. It's like, I bought an NFT banana today in my metaverse. Like,
Dude, okay, no, that actually
so
sounds
dystopian.
sick.
No,
No, because then your NFT actually has tangibility, but it's in a VR situation. So like you go to the Supreme store and it's just the most outrageously expensive Supreme-esque NFTs where it's like, oh, here's my red sweater, and then you buy it as an NFT, but then you can equip it in the game or in the metaverse as like an equipable item. So maybe you actually are onto something stupid.
And when it comes to art too, like if you think about the Mona Lisa, like the fact that like the Mona Lisa is so valuable because like one, it is the Mona Lisa. There's one unique thing. And also, he didn't make like 20 million different versions of it with like different hairstyles and like expressions. So like the very fact that like it's supposed to be its unique thing, but there's a ton of others that are slightly tweaked that loses its value just because it's so diluted. Like it's
imagine
not unique.
if it was Mona Lisa and there was 1,000 copies, but all with different hats,
different facial expressions.
Like you go look at a gravel road, every rock is different, but there's a freaking million of them. Like there's nothing special about the one rock you pick up.
Hey, okay. You know, some people collect rocks, and I feel like you're hating on them
but that's a personal thing. They're not going around telling you,
my
like,
wife.
This is my rock. you want it? It's $1 million to
somebody
me.
might buy that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like somebody
but
might.
it's tangible.
Snake oil. Yeah, it's
That's tangible. That's
still tangible.
I can feel it in my hand, and I know
It's not going to disappear in 2 years.
So I think that's the thing is, I'm not advocating it, but you guys are thinking of how to make something digital tangible. But like, I feel like the use for NFT is how do you make something physical digital, and like that is moving towards the metaverse. It's like, how do I live in a digital plane where there is nothing physical?
Yes, but the metaverse doesn't exist yet.
Well,
it's
well,
just
I
a
mean,
VR
maybe this is the precursor. It's the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
If NFTs didn't happen, would the metaverse still came?
Dude, I've got your brain turning about that Walmart NFT metaverse thing, don't I?
I'm like
You're
actually
looking through
digging
the
it.
looking glass right now.
I'm actually digging that. Like that would be pretty sick. Like people pay so much money for skins in video games, and the skin is like the appearance. So if you have a gun, you get a skin, and it's like, well, that's what getting specific stamps, rocks, Pokemon cards, whatever people want to collect is. I have something you don't have.
Yeah. So
how much money would you spend to get it?
And you're seeing the practicality of how this could drive business.
Yeah.
Is that what? That's
I mean, even from an artist standpoint, like it would be really cool if Nick Abstract made some like abstract pieces, and I could like equip that in a video game. Like I feel like that is cool because he's someone I know and I like his art. And if I knew I had the only piece like that, then it's more of a connection as opposed to Microsoft released a skin and I paid $8 on a store to get it.
So are you dreaming of a world without licensing? Because it goes back to the album art thing. Like he's an artist. He's probably going to be licensed somewhat to legally protect him. So you can't just have it in any random game you want because there would be legal disputes.
Yeah, that starts to get tricky fast.
Well, I mean, I think like with it is like you can't right click in a metaverse. Maybe you can. I don't know how it works because it hasn't developed yet, like you said. But it's like
it's digital.
It's
digital. People can take it.
It is. Well,
Think about it.
It's not protected.
You just wait. I can see the news now. It's like crime has risen in the metaverse.
Right,
how do we fix it?
Well, I'm saying like if the system like the system of the metaverse specifically is ran by Facebook. So like if you owned the original
Meta
piece of in the
it's
ledger,
not Facebook, it's Meta. Come on, man.
Whatever. If
How
you
old are
own
you?
that
Meta
original piece, and then like
Meta
you could
book.
report it the same way you do in YouTube with like somebody stole my video or stole my music, you could say somebody stole my art.
Re-uploading. They can still re-upload your NFT though. That happens all the time. There was an issue with that where people on Twitter, because Twitter introduced NFT profile pictures, and people were downloading those users' NFTs, re-minting them and using them as their own NFT profile picture because there wasn't a verification
So
process.
it's not the same serial number. I'm just going to use that so it's easier for me to comprehend.
It's a new serial number.
So it's a new serial number, but it's the exact same image.
Yeah. That's the huge flaw with it.
I mean,
because it's just
cool.
that link that you can download, and then you can make a new link of the very same thing, and it's a different NFT, and it loses all uniqueness.
Yeah.
It's like
I see where you're coming from.
It's like our photos and files and stuff. Like I have metadata built into every photo that says
such a buzzword now. He said Meta.
But it's like
every time we say it, we have to pay Facebook Meta. I'm sorry.
you did it too. So
yeah.
No, but it's like I've got like that data is attached to the file. But if correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure like if you right click and download, like that doesn't follow it. At some point it loses.
It depends on where you get it
from. You can tell it to get rid of it. I can easily get rid of that data.
Right.
If you copy paste it in like Finder, like if you have the window open, you copy paste it, it'll keep that data.
Well, yeah.
But if you upload it to YouTube or a specific video photo sharing, and then you right click it, it'll take it from the downloaded portion.
Yep.
So it might keep the same resolution, but it'll lose the location, it'll lose the dates, it'll
update
update
a safety
to the new
thing because like the location stuff, like if you may not want to be sharing the location of where, like if you took a picture in your house and you upload it online to share like on Twitter, you don't want people to know the exact GPS coordinates of your house.
So what you're telling me is NFTs are just like 2022's version of metadata in a camera. It's like you could keep it, and you could keep passing it on, or you could just wipe it and start over new, but it's the exact same image.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it doesn't solve anything.
Thank you. Yeah. We've come full circle now. It doesn't solve a thing.
I think
it made some people a lot of money.
I think the potential is cool, and if they could put it in a digital system where like you could use it in a video game or something where it's like I spend a couple hours a week playing video games, so like there is some value to it, but aside from that, I just don't see it.
So you mentioned the metaverse, and that just makes me think of like all the social network things and how like we are trying to integrate and adapt to what these new things are coming in. And I don't know how we'd fit into the metaverse because like nobody even knows what it is yet.
I feel like it's just the VR chat. That's all it's going to be.
I know exactly what it would be. We'd have our own like TRIFLIX portion of the metaverse, and you would walk in like a storefront, and like all the walls are just filled with our videos.
Dude,
cool.
Digital storefront's kind of cool idea.
That would be fun.
That's what I imagine in my head, that most of the things that are digitally tangible, they would now be digitally tangible, but in a more real life sort of way.
Yeah.
That's like TRIFLIX is now we just literally have our portion of the internet that's all of our things, which is of course pictures and videos, and those things that are put out there, like you can now sort through them, see them, view them, but in our own curated space.
Yeah, instead of like the 2D-esque of like Minecraft, it's just going to be like that, but infinite world. You can make whatever you want. We build a storefront.
Second Life.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
You just make whatever you want. It's you want to go to Valheim World, go to Valheim World. It's over there, and it's like over here's this world. Everybody goes everywhere. Make
this is Donut Land. A whole bunch of donuts, chocolate donuts.
Yeah, it's
just go down the river donuts.
It's literally like the Rick and Morty idea of like infinite universes, except it's in one location. So it's like you want to go to this place where this exists. It doesn't make any sense, but in that place it makes sense.
A massive video game.
Yeah, I hope that's what it becomes. That'd be sick. You know, I don't want Facebook to run it. I probably wouldn't use it if they made it.
I heard that to do anything with Facebook.
No, I don't. That's like, other than running a business on it, it's the only thing we use it for. So,
but aren't you?
We supply the ads.
Part of the problem.
No.
Because we're talking about this, like I'm gonna pose this question to you guys. Like like, I think it's cool, but my fear is that we do end up in that whole, like, everybody's living in a pod and nobody really,
like the Matrix.
Yeah, like you don't interact in real life, but now you've got like this digital
Wall-E.
world.
Yeah,
exactly. We're all going to be
chair.
800 pounds in a chair floating around in space, not knowing what's going on.
Linus Sebastian, he says that VR, what is it, the Beat Saber is part of his like daily regiment of workouts. So like there's some things that would be interactive, but the majority would be Wall-E in a chair.
That's what I'm
pounds.
saying. Like, as of where we stand now, and probably the next multiple decades, we're probably going to be still working on what AR and VR looks like technology wise, like actual hardware, because that needs to go a long way.
Haptic feedback and all that.
So I love that there's disability benefits. So like people who are wheelchair bound can like just hop in to VR. Sorry.
That's a poor choice of words.
They can pop on a VR headset and I don't know, they can download themselves in.
They can. Is there a?
That's hilarious.
Aside from Ready Player One,
that's what I was thinking of. Something uses that language where you just hop into the VR world.
Well, it's. I mean, like people get cosmetic surgery now.
Run on into that VR world.
Just roll on.
Jump in. What company used the tagline "Jump in" for video games?
I don't know.
I think it might have been Xbox.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be all like, apocalyptic dystopia like view upon things, but I'm just like, I'm playing devil's advocate. I see the benefits for it.
Yeah.
But like, that's still for me, and I'm sure there's a generation that won't care at all. But for me, thinking about the fact that I might sit on my butt 90% of the day, like other than maybe to pop out to actually like feed myself and use the restroom. But like,
so if I were to be using a VR headset, there's the option where you can just sit down and do 90% of what everybody else can do in VR. Or I would prefer to be, standing and like running around and doing things like Beat Saber, just because like that's kind of most of the fun that I see in it, because you're immersed in a world where you can go around and like.
But what if you don't have to?
Interact. What if you
could sit on your butt and I mean like think ahead, right?
Yeah.
You could sit on your butt and still have all sensation of walking, running, like actually being in this digital world, but you can feel the things of reality.
Yeah, that'd be so
The Matrix,
lame.
yes.
I'd rather go do that in real life.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, but like
you can do that without the exertion of energies.
But the draw would be there though too. Again, playing the other side, like think about a world where you could go in and you could be and do whatever you want.
Whenever. You could be Spider-Man.
No, I mean, that's like
the
web
sling I can.
Ready Player One was one of my favorite movies of all time. And people are like, oh, it's a nostalgia shill movie. And I'm like, kind of. But the reason it's cool.
What isn't anymore?
True. Everything is.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's like the cool part of it is like that is what the world would be, because people in the real world already want nostalgia. So if you gave them the option to have anything they want, they're going to choose nostalgia. They're going to choose to do new things. People pay thousands of dollars for cosmetic surgery. You go in here, boop, 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 change a couple settings. You look whatever you want.
You talk
about handicap bound. Be whatever you want.
Yeah.
What do you think that there's a possibility that maybe if you could murder people virtually, there would be less crime like in real life? Or do you think that ups it?
It could up it too.
Like, I've killed someone virtually, now I need to kill someone in real life.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out what I should or shouldn't say right now.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, come on.
Bleep it.
Don't go to virtual school tomorrow.
Oh wow, yeah.
Today was the 90th school shooting in VR.
I mean,
we can bleep that if we want.
No, you're good. I think that's. I mean, we live in the U.S. It is what it is. If that offends you, don't watch the news.
Well, that could be. I mean, I mean, we joke and we laugh, but like these could be the actual realities. In this other world. I mean, again, if you think of a do-all wherever type of situation, like a lot of us, we have a lot of things on our list, but it wouldn't. There are a lot of people who would be that. They'd be like, I want to take a tank and drive over 8 people today.
Yeah. Well, that makes me think of a lot of the other like digital media we already don't allow just because of the ethical things behind them, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's certain types of porn, or whether if it's like, there was some kid that got arrested because he was pretending like going and like shooting up his school in a map that he made in a video game.
Oh gosh.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
dang. I didn't know
He
that.
either got arrested or apprehended, and there was like a whole situation. I don't think there was any charges.
Sounds like
or there
a
might have been
creative
charges.
kid.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
like, there's the
creative is the
issue
right
is
word.
that we already are trying to make these certain type of activities not allowed because they can perpetuate things in
Right.
real life. So
I don't know. I feel like
there's
it's
a level of reluctance that I have towards that. It's like I don't want to have a world where anything's just okay.
Yeah.
Mainly
that's-
because there's things that we don't want to have happening.
It's
Yeah,
all
so-
context. I mean, you can make
Yeah.
2 videos about the exact same subject, and like,
Yeah.
it's not the material as much as the context of it. And I feel like a lot of the views of anything moving forward is always, well, we have this now. Why would I want that? And it's all a tool. Social media, it's like, oh, it's terrible.
sure.
People doom scroll. It's like, it doesn't have to be. People choose to do that. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
people are going to
Yeah.
use it to get fat and they won't use their bodies. And where it's like, people could choose to do that, or they could do whatever
Yeah.
they want.
Yeah. Or maybe
So-
traffic would be much better in the real world.
It already is, man. Everybody working from home, everyone virtual, but it's going to get even more so.
Traffic.
Thank you. For a person who drives 40,000 plus miles a year, the traffic still sucks.
You cannot deny that in the last 2 years, it has improved over the last like 2 years prior to that, though. No?
It got better like early, like
Like,
during
for the first
quarantine
3 months.
2020. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was back. And I'm telling you, it's worse now because nobody respects the left lane. But don't get me started on this.
Yeah.
I don't know. And when I go into an office for a corporate building, there are significantly less people. Now, if you go into any essential worker places that are not considered corporate, then yeah, it's probably the same, if not more. However, based on the fact that everybody's hiring, I'm going to say it's actually probably lower than prior to COVID.
People aren't staying home, dude. The amount of people that are actually out there just doing nothing
Yeah.
at all times of the day.
Might
Like
as
you
well-
used to be able to be like, okay, this is the lunch hour, right? I know it's going to be busy. Okay, this is when kids are getting picked up from school. Busy. Okay, 5 o'clock rush to go home.
There's
I got
schedules.
you.
Yeah.
There was a schedule. There was times of the day where you could leave and there was minimal traffic because people were at work or they were doing things that they're supposed to be doing there today. Now it's just like wherever and whenever you leave the
I
house.
got an hour between meetings at like 10 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever.
run to
I
the
can
store.
go run to the store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or I'm
no.
going to put my headset in and take the meeting while I'm walking around Kroger.
Yeah. I was just on a meeting today where somebody took the meeting on the way back from home.
Again, I'm not saying this is
Yeah.
a bad thing, but I'm
Yeah.
disputing Tristan's remark about
People's
traffic.
behaviors have changed. It's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
We have
This
people
man
that go
walks
on
to work.
Yeah, well, we have people on video calls for some of the clients that we work with, and they'll be on like jogs and stuff with their headphones in. You can hear a little wind in the background, and they're like panting a little more, but it's like they're still paying attention. They're still having a conversation. It doesn't require you to be in the exact same room that everyone contributed a collective 200 miles to drive to and then to drive home from. It's like, hey, I can actually go do exercise, and most people probably sit in bed and do their calls with their pants off. However, this guy goes on runs. So again, it's just whatever people choose to do with the tool.
Whatever
Yeah.
floats your boat.
Yeah. Some people wait to go to the store last minute right before a storm and ruin everyone else's day because we're out of bananas.
Yep.
Yeah, or toilet paper.
Speaking of tools,
Hammer.
there are some. Well, yes. Well, there's a tool holding a tool.
Oh. Burn. Oh my goodness.
But no. So there, here at TRIFLIX, we have a lot of discussions about ways that we can better the business, things that we can do to improve. Engagement, eyes upon us on the interwebs, so that we can gain clients and gain audience members that like our content.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've been kicking around and trying to figure out is short form vertical content. So Reels, TikToks, Shorts.
Good old Vines.
Man, I miss Vine.
I do too. I'm wondering why it's taken this long for everybody to realize that was such a hit.
Oh, I know.
It didn't make money.
Everybody, how are they making money now though? What's the difference?
I don't know if
What's
they
changed?
are. Are they doing ads?
They're making money, yeah. The ads are... The thing is they got smart about how to work the ads in, because now The creators are creating the ads and they're paid by the ad company. So when you come across an ad, it looks just like all the other content. There's one little thing at the bottom, like on TikTok, where there's a link button that is different than everything else you'll see on there, and you know it's an ad by seeing that. And
so
of
the
course,
advertisers have figured out that they can put themselves into the content.
Yes.
That wasn't really happening much before.
Which is what they were doing on YouTube and Facebook prior, where you just find a creator and you integrate your ad in their into their format, and
just product placements from like old school things. Like
that was what it was before.
Soda pop.
That was what it was in television and movies.
I just watched Nicki Minaj's video for what was the Anaconda, and she's like holding a Beats pill the whole time.
Everyone holds the Beats pill, man. And then the golden $15,000 bottle of champagne.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember what it's called, but it's $15,000.
It's got like the Ace of Spades, I think, on the front, right?
Something like that.
I want some of that.
Why?
Give me.
That's the NFTs of alcohol.
Because it's cool. I mean, like, look at my gold.
That's exactly
it's
right.
It's the next NFT.
They got me on that one.
And then you empty the bottle and you just keep reusing it as a prop on set.
Yeah, why not?
Or you never had the original to begin with.
When I worked at the restaurant, I used to take empty bottles of Dom Perignon home all the time, and when people would come over, we'd take pictures with it. Because it was like a $200 or $300 bottle.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, no one will ever know it's empty.
But why? Why do people do that? Why do people... What was your motive for doing that?
I don't know. It looked cool.
But like, why? Like, where does that...
Well, think about it. So you're like...
What do you want to get out of that interaction with your post? Because it's not like you take the photo and keep it on your phone. What are you doing with the photo?
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we kind of kept them. We didn't post them. I mean, I know a lot of people would have done that. I was super careful about what went on social media all my time, like growing up, because my fear was that one day I was going to want to get a job somewhere, and that would be like something I posted, something canceled. I did online.
Don Perrier, don't hire him.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
this man knows what alcohol is.
I'll show you some of these pictures. They're kind of sketchy.
Yeah. Sound like my mom.
Well, I cared a lot about that.
Public image.
Public image. I mean, it was different too growing up. I mean, 90s, early 2000s. It's like there was that stigma. I mean, people that had a lot of tattoos didn't get hired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For corporate jobs. Like, all of those things have been lifted now, which is great. Right. But it's like, you had to think about, like, if I want to be in corporate America, or, I want to get to some of these positions, like...
I would say it's gotten better.
No, it's gotten way better. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely...
As long as you're not a politician.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But you have to be an old white man to be a politician.
Yes. Well, I have way too many pictures on the Google Cloud that'll probably come out as soon as I try to... They're not that bad, it's just so you know, but I'm just saying, in general.
Yeah. You were talking about the school shooting things, and like the kid going to like making this VR world or whatever, and then like reenacting certain parts of it. That was, I think, my mom's concern when I was growing up, because all I wanted to do was to make VFX videos with gun muzzle flashes and explosions and stuff. And the concern at that time was, if you make videos like that, you'll be a school shooter, or you'll be violent, or it'll be hard to get a resume job. And now stuff like that is so popularized on social media that, like, that's fine now. But now what's the next thing? So at your time too, it was like, all right, well, publicly posting with alcohol is kind of, I mean, we live in the Midwest, so that's already a no-no. Maybe if you lived in LA, that's cool, Maybe they wouldn't have cared 10 years ago in certain areas. No, it's cool here now as well, but it's got to be a natural light or a bush light. Yeah, you got to do the natty.
So I think that just changes when you bring that up, because like every movie, or not every movie, but every movie that has a gun, they're not actually firing a real gun unless like they made that in a very pure intent.
With Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin, he made that mistake. But
whoops.
But you want to make a fake gun firing off look like a real gun, and like that, the attention to detail is pretty important. Yeah, and having a respect for that is huge. And so that's I don't know. Everybody kind of like is like, oh no, violence. I don't want that. But like we want to be able to remember things or make these stories and have them as fake real as possible.
Yeah, it's fake real.
Fake real.
If I would have just started if I ignored what everyone said and just started practicing VFX when I was a kid, I'd be so good now.
Yeah. It would be very helpful, because we need that.
I know.
Come on, Tristan.
I like how we went from vertical content all the way to here, like in a quick snap of the finger.
Yeah.
Well, conversations are alive.
we did a hard turn back into the school shooter thing.
I know. I was like, whoa.
Vertical content.
Corridor Digital is a good example of the kind of violent content that where they did that's kind of a lot of your inspiration. I've seen a lot of it.
Actually, it was Freddie W. Before.
Well,
I didn't know about Corridor
I
for
kind of
like
think
3 or
those
4
as
years.
a thing.
They are
the
kind of
same
the same
thing.
It's some VFX channels.
Yeah, VFX channels, and they've also have like gone into doing this kind of like short form vertical video thing, and they've been adapting a lot of like their own scenes and stuff. I think it's interesting because we're all still trying to figure out what this is good for.
It's for sure. It's NFTs of art.
It's NFTs, but people actually care about them
for some reason.
I know you don't understand it,
but I will. We'll learn.
Well,
we're not all experts, but we understand a bit more.
Well, and sometimes you don't have to like fully understand them. Like the actual feeling or sensation or what the psychological bit of like what makes people do what they do.
Yeah.
But like, I know this sounds horrible, but like you don't have to understand like why people are doing it, but it's something that's working and it's something that can get us views. And like, I know it sounds horrible, but that's like my view upon it. Like,
we're a company.
We have to figure out ways to take the tools that we're given and use those for our benefit.
I kind of see it as like a little, not like appetizers, but like those little like taste tester things, like when you're in Kroger or Walmart.
Tapas.
Kind of like tapas.
Yeah.
Where you walk by, would you like to try the new cherry chocolate combo thing in the little tiny plastic cup? That's what these short form videos are.
Yeah, it's an amuse-bouche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An amuse-bouche.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's like, there's nothing, that's the exact conversation that we've had, is it's like, it's ways to put out 30 to 60 seconds worth of content that says, hey, look, like we're TRIFLIX, we're doing some fun stuff. Like we're kind of a silly group of dudes trying to make a living making videos. And so it's like, you see that and you're like, oh, well, maybe now I want to go see the
short
longer
and
form.
sweet. You're like, maybe I want some more. My tummy's kind of rumbling. I want to eat more of this video.
Well,
makes sense.
Yeah,
rumbles.
Recently, Peter McKinnon released a video about this content and like how he felt about it, and he interviewed a lot of YouTubers, and that's kind of what got me thinking again, which we've been talking about this since the end of 21. TRIFLIX ourselves trying to figure out how to take advantage of it, and so it was interesting to see his take on like how he feels about it and like why maybe it's relevant. And it's like, you can't fight the numbers, number one. And he was a huge like against it at first because he felt the same way as Tristan does. I mean, Tristan is an artist at its simplest form,
very simple,
very, very simple.
I just mean like if you cut everything out, you're an artist, other than being like, well, you're a professional videographer that makes content for, you know what I mean? It's
I
like,
got lucky and found a way to make money doing it, but I'm
you care.
an artist.
I consider somebody who's also an artist is they have that motivation and the feelings of like, this is like a part of me. I'm making this because I care about it.
Yeah.
And I care about the feeling of somebody when they see it.
Yeah.
It's not like, for me, a lot of times I look at a piece of content and I'm like, just because of my position in the company and how I view things, I'm like, okay, but what's the relevancy? How does this get us engagement views? Like it's about metrics and analytical data, which is good for us because we, I mean, as 50-50 partners, we're able to play off of those two emotions, and hopefully that means company growth, so that we can actually do this full time. And so it's one of those things where, I think I understand your side of it, and Peter McKinnon was saying the same thing. He's like, well, a lot of the short form stuff is not like well produced. People just make it, they pump it out, it is what it is, and then somehow you end up getting 1.5 million views in 2 days, and you're like, oh wow, and then people keep doing it. Which, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good creators that are making some good content, but it's worth looking at another medium. I think it's the nice thing is it's going to challenge us to make something in that form, but do it in our way and somehow make it ours.
Yeah. And I was pretty averse to looking at a lot of like things like TikTok or like the shorts. I think it's what YouTube calls them. Because like I don't want to have like very small pulses of like content. I usually watch like 30-minute videos or like big breakdowns of things. Reviews and things. So I like the longer form content because I like being engaged for that period of time.
Yeah.
But now I found that like these channels I watch, they are releasing like these shorter form like 30-second clips, and I find them really entertaining because I'm already invested in them.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, I remember that. That's hilarious. So it's like little bits of like memories almost too. Or like, oh, I didn't see that. I need to go check it out. So it really just feels like tiny little ads I'm consuming, but I actually I like it. Though.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's highly, I think for most people, they find that it's highly addictive.
Oh yeah.
And I get that. You know what I mean? That's the base of all of this, right? I mean, that's
money.
This is another
money.
This is another evolution of social media that is. I'm not gonna. Somebody put it like this: like, I'm not gonna stand in line at the bank and watch a 30-minute video.
Right.
But I'll sit there and see
time.
like 10 to 15 TikToks in like 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, they found another way to fill my life with content. Yeah. And for better or for worse, it can benefit us largely just because of how it functions.
Yeah, and there is that level of like, is this really good for me to be like constantly trying to fill my time? Because I enjoy like having silence.
Coming from the guy that you never, he whenever you first started socializing a lot more after high school, going into college, people would ride with you in the car, you would ride with people in the car, and you would always point out like, why do I have to play music?
Yeah.
Why do I have to have something playing?
First 15 seconds of getting in the car, I was like, you got have like a radio or anything? I was like, I do. Yes, that is a thing I have. And I still don't listen to music in the car, not very often.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't want to be dependent on that. Because like it's not a very, I don't know, I enjoy existing to an extent.
The comfort of boredom.
Yeah. Being comfortable in boredom is important. And
I
feel
agree.
Like this
it's
is
valuable.
A lot of our social media is like really competing for our attention, and I don't really enjoy that.
But this goes back to what we were just talking about living in a tube or walking around.
It's true.
Everybody has that choice to make.
I'd rather go for a hike in the woods than like spend like 2 hours thinking about hiking in the woods.
Right, but you know what's even better? Going on a hike in the woods after you've uploaded, and then a bunch of people watch it, and then your company makes more money.
Yeah, then you can make money off it. Yeah.
And I can still go on hikes.
Yeah, I think that was like my perspective of it, just from the artist side. It's like, I'm probably not going to get behind it without like seeing some sort of monetary value. Like, I need to know how it gets us closer to what our goals are. And it's like, if it's just getting us views, it's like, well, what does views mean? Or is it making us money? Is it building a brand? Is it building some sort of like rapport? Do people enjoy and come back? Or is it like, somebody saw me. It's like the equivalent of getting a sports car and people look at you when you drive by. It's like, cool. I posted a picture of a $1,000 bottle of champagne. Cool. Like, what does that do for us?
I think it's like the equivalent of like having a giant ad on the side of a NASCAR.
Yeah, for sure.
You just drive by super fast.
No, that's
not really in your immediate attention. It's just something consumed super quick.
That's a good example. But there's a possibility. Again,
I mean, it could.
If you're front of mind, right? Yeah. Part of it is finding different ways to be front of mind. Yeah. And hopefully, right? I'm sure there's data behind it, and I'm sure there's, again, we're still in early days of this, so we're there's a reason why we haven't just been pumping out the content in this form, and that's because we're trying to take a very well thought out approach, and we've put some feelers out there to test some content,
and they did really well.
They did well,
and I didn't like that, but you know what? If the data is the data.
But I'm telling you, this is the opportunity, though, to give you a parameter as a director, as a creative person, that for me to go, Tristan, I've got this parameter, and all you have to do is meet a time span, and then a format, an aspect ratio.
Make it this long, and turn your camera sideways and make me a video,
and then make me a video. And like if you can find the way that it makes sense for you in a creative way that makes you happy, that makes you feel good about the content, then everyone wins.
Yeah, and so like I've talked about the behind the scenes, and it's like that's my way of practicing storytelling and to practice world building. It's like there's so many other things that I want to learn too. Mm-hmm. It's like if I just stop there, it's like, all right, cool, I'm a director that makes indie films that have really cool stories that nobody gets, and it's weird and quirky. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, now what? So I want to learn VFX. I said that earlier in the podcast. All right, well, cool. Here's make it VFX in 10 seconds. That's it. That's this. There's no story. Doesn't even have to have a story. Just practice VFX, and there will be the billions. How many are on TikTok now? million?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
don't know
lot.
what the
It's a
daily
high
active
number.
users- I'll
This
pull
whole
it up.
conversation makes me think about why like the movie released edit of the Joker, not the Joker movie, of the Suicide Squad movie, the very first one, why it just sucks to watch. It's because it was made by a trailer house company. The original director got canned. They didn't like him, and they sent it to this trailer house company. And they just pumped it filled with like
Iconic
pop songs,
trailer shots.
a whole bunch of trailer shots and things. And you would hate that. You are the director in this situation. That
Yeah.
got canned.
for sure.
You wanted to make a great story. You had a vision, and what reels are, or shorts, or TikToks are. They're like tiny little trailers for your channel, and like you don't.
Yeah.
That is not content you envisioned or like you see. There is an art to it. Not to discredit anybody who makes trailers, but like it's an ad. It's like the clear goal and direction, and like that's. For you didn't grow up, you're like, I want to make a whole bunch of ads for things I have already made.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like, Expendables is a great series. Like, Expendables 1 and 2, I love those movies. And it is literally 1 to 2 hours of just explosions and guys saying bad words and murder. And it's awesome. And same thing with, like, Fast and the Furious. It's like, you could remove the story and it's still 99% the same movie because the story has hardly any... the story is, like... not even a nudge. It's like, it's just there. It just exists, but it has nothing to do with what's going on in 99% of the scenes. So it's like, people still love those movies, and I still love The Expendables, even though when I make art, it's not necessarily something I would make. I still love Michael Bay. He's actually a good storyteller, but so people go there for the explosions. That's why people like him.
Oh, for sure.
Steven Spielberg, great storyteller, doesn't do as much VFX.
Those are great examples of things that obviously work and make lots of money.
Yeah.
People always watch them even though they're basically garbage.
Yeah.
But like, that's not something we have a passion
Hey man,
for.
Fast and Furious is a garbage.
Well, I mean,
maybe not that one.
You can see it in franchises too, like Matrix 1, great story, good-ish VFX. All of them after that, slightly better VFX, maybe, arguably, but the stories are poo-poo.
Well, they made 2 and 3 at the same time. In the same time frame. They're shooting them exactly at the same time.
Marvel movies, everybody goes and watches them, but like only... they're really good at storytelling.
Yeah, not good at...
compelling.
Yeah.
It's like, it's an emotional story that everyone can relate to, and that's why it's successful, because it goes for like the majority appeal. But there's nothing amazingly new about the story. It's like somebody got hurt,
cutter.
They're sad as a kid, and they grow up to be different than what they were as a kid.
And you get to see your favorite superhero go through that.
Yeah.
And like does the superhero relative justice. And for like, it's not like the DC like stupid Batman v Superman
Super
where
dark.
you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Why is Batman shooting people? what is going on?
So like there's
You're not supposed to shoot people.
There's just all these movies that have different things that make them popular. Some are stories, some are explosions, some are like the female chick flick books, Nicholas Sparks. Like that is its whole major industry. Everything by Tyler Perry. There's never, as far as I remember, an explosion, maybe a gun that goes off every once in a while. It's like
definitely
he
murder.
Built an entire production studio lot, like an entire facility larger than Universal, larger than anything in Hollywood. And it's like he made that himself, making his own movies because he found his niche. Maybe he loves making them, maybe he hates it. I don't know, but he's really good at making money. And I'm sure if he wanted, he could quit now and use that money to do whatever he wants for the rest of his life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's, maybe TikToks is the next thing where we get to practice something new we haven't practiced before. And that takes us to the point where we can make enough money to do what we would really like to do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's like doing taxes. It's just part of it. If you want to get anywhere, you better do it.
Well, maybe you learn to love doing taxes and you become the world's greatest accountant that makes millions.
That's the thing.
It's like maybe this is the next thing that we really like.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories. Actually, I shouldn't say a lot, but I know that there is a good percentage of people who are able to go on even one of these platforms and jumpstart their business. By no means is it the end all, but they've been able to get in front of eyes and jumpstart their business and then they still use the platform to advertise their business by posting short form content, but then their longer content, it lives on their platforms, and that's they run off a subscription. Or
I've seen that a lot with creators that I watched. Like they had to slowly like modify how they're doing their content to make it like sustainable, and they have to dip into those other areas where you might have not thought you wanted to go, but like it so you do that so you can do the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, you have two examples of the opposite where you have the guy that does the prop making, Adam Savage.
Savage.
He went from movies to television to YouTube, making his own stuff, and then you have people like Babish who does cooking, completely different type of work, and he goes from making YouTube videos onto having his own television shows, being with Oprah, and then you have the Vine stars where they were on a platform that died, and they all just migrated, and we had the blessing of receiving the Paul brothers and Danny Gonzalez, who's actually a pretty funny guy, and he actually went off to work at Corridor. And it's like, cool. How cool would it have been to like, you make these dumb little videos and then you end up going to go work for Peter McKinnon or something because you just pivot on your platform and switch to something new. Yeah. I mean, and also the Adam Savage was on Corridor too. Everyone gets to work with
There's
him.
horrible examples though when it comes to like TikTok where like there's that one thing you're known for and like you basically have to do it every single time you make a new video. There's a pretty great band. They did like a great cover of a song. I'm blanking on it. But like the guy sounds like almost exactly like Jack Black when he's singing. And like
I know what you're talking about.
There's like in every single video, like they make their own songs, but they did some covers. But in every single video, like the guy is just like doing this weird hip thrusting thing. And like the first video that they did, they got super viral. He was doing it in that, and so he just does it every single time regardless of the song, and it just doesn't make any sense, but that's what gets the views.
If it works, why change it?
Yeah,
it's true though. I mean, just like you mentioned the Paul brothers, like it's not great, but it's working.
Well, they pivoted. I don't know if you've seen like they constantly have to reinvent what makes them popular, and they're constantly throwing stuff at the walls. And I don't advocate people grow up to be like the Paul brothers. However, from a business perspective, they're very creative. Logan, more than Jake. Jake just scams children a lot. Logan was like, he does the Vine thing. He switches over to YouTube. He makes vlog style. The vlogs have to be different than everyone else's vlogs. So he like burns things, he like destroys property, and it's like, all right, he has the money to do this, he can get away with it, he has the lawyers to do it, he can fake it or portray certain things that aren't actually occurring. He goes off, he does negative PR stunt after negative PR stunt, but it's all publicity, so his channel steadily grows. He gets fired from Disney in the middle of it because of all that, so he pivots. I don't get Disney money anymore, pushes everything into the YouTube side. And then he starts doing boxing because he realizes he can make boxing a thing, because he's actually a really good athlete. And he's a very talented guy. He's an actually really good fighter. He's a good boxer.
I thought it was all fake. I thought it was like WWE or whatever.
I don't think so.
I've
really?
I do a little bit of martial arts.
I was gonna say, isn't MMA and stuff that he's doing?
So in my experience, if I do in jiu-jitsu, if you do rolling for like 2 to 3 minutes with somebody, and that is just you like being up close, which in boxing is like you're not on the ground, but you are up tight, and you'll see it with like Money Mayweather. They're like up close and they'll be doing a lot of hugging for points. 2 to 3 minutes, you're exhausted. And you see this with the McGregor fight with Mayweather, where McGregor just sprints in the first few minutes, and he came from an MMA background, which is very fast paced. And boxing is a long, extremely strenuous. So for him to be there, whether he's faking it or not, the amount of energy and the amount of training that had to go into him, into his physique, into his stamina, is amazing. So like he pivots his energy of like, I'm very athletic, I'll go do boxing. And then he builds up this hate around it, and everybody hates him. They want to see him lose.
So they just hype it up.
He's constantly using whatever he has as a resource, whether that's money, hate, Disney, whatever it is, he finds a way to monetize it and then pivots. And now everybody wanted to see him fight again, and he's like, all right, everybody wants to see me fight. And then he pivots, and now they're selling Prime energy drinks. Him and KSI team up because everybody wants to see what they would do together next.
That type of stuff just doesn't pull me in. Like the opposite side of that coin for me is like Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like the more wholesome of like route one could take that those brothers, the Logan or the Paul brothers could have taken. And I have a sizable amount of respect for Mr. Beast compared to those guys. I mean, because it just seems to be more like he's actually trying to do something with all the stupid stuff he's doing. I mean, it's all still like just, I feel like, shilling entertainment.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of it. You get cable, you get 3,000 channels, and guess what? There's at least one person watching every one of those channels. Every one of those channels has at least one view at a time. 3,000 channels, right?
Yeah.
And it's like whether you're on TikTok, 10-second videos, watching breakdown videos that you're talking about that are like 40 minutes. I'll consume a lot of 15-minute daily videos. I want that cyclical, hey, it's lunchtime, I watched a thing.
Yep.
Different movie makers, directors produce different stuff. And in the same way, social media creators, it's basically like the reality TV of it. It's like, both of them are reality TV. It's just, are you watching like Steve Harvey be quirky and funny and giving away money, or are you watching the Desperate Housewives murder each other over money? It's like, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
And then there's some poor editor in a closet
chugging away at it.
Oh
gosh. Like
hating
what charity stuff, like the Team C's and Team Trees. Like there's at least a little like hint of like, oh, maybe it's not just for the money, but also it's still kind of also centered around money. So
just makes me think of the Joel Haver video.
Which one?
The one with him and Churdley, and then they're like after this, Mr. Beast will have to start a new clean charity or something like that, just making fun of how messy a situation was. So yeah, he's out there cleaning everything. Go Mr. Beast.
So I've got the data pulled up.
Let's see
for TikTok. So
for us or just in general? Like, are you pulling it from an
guesses?
Yeah, if you want to. What do you think the daily active user count is?
For the platform as a whole?
For the platform as a whole.
700 million.
Oh man. Do I go higher or lower?
Facebook's is like 1 billion. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Facebook, maybe that's just their active users.
I'll do 150 million. I don't think it's that high.
We're talking about daily active users, right?
150 million
Facebook
users.
lies about everything, so I feel like they're inflating my guess.
I was just going to see if I could find... Wow, yeah. Daily active users was like 1.93 billion for Facebook.
Yeah, see, I've heard that before, but
that's stupid.
I don't know if that's like I'm
on
the platform for 10 seconds or I got a notification and I saw it on my phone.
Well,
like,
I know.
Facebook lies about so much. So
especially with Messenger, like it says people are active and when it's like they're not.
Oh, yeah, that drives me nuts.
Like that. So almost 2 billion, what are we at as a population? Almost 8. So 1/4 of the population, 1/4 of the people in the world look at Facebook. And how many of those people are under the age of like 7?
Yeah.
You know, like
People
children.
do just pull it up and leave it in a tab.
All day long. Yeah.
I
do all the
I
time.
don't do that.
So what are you going to say? Some other platforms, or are you going to say TikToks?
TikTok's, I guess, 150 million.
Okay, so it's actually 50 million daily active users, which does turn out to be 18% of Americans with mobile internet users that log in every day.
See, now I feel bad just throwing out a big number.
What do you think the percentage is? Well, that's once a month. Let's see. It says on average, this is kind of crazy. On average, the U.S. adult users spend 33 minutes per day on TikTok, ranking it second next to the daily engagement at Facebook.
God, how many TikToks is that?
By 2 minutes, by the way. So 35 minutes a day on average that an adult will spend on Facebook, but it's 33 minutes on TikTok a day.
It is the fastest growing platform.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe people only spend 33 minutes a day.
That's a lot of TikToks.
Dude, that's like one YouTube video, though.
It's been downloaded.
And I will sit through, I think I could pull it up on my phone, but I guarantee it's over 4 or 5 hours a day because I use it like Luke from LTT does. I was watching a podcast where they're like, he just couldn't understand how people use social media. Because for me, it's like I'm working and I have something in the background and it's the same as like a fidget toy for my hands. It's like a fidget toy for my brain where I can like be marinating and thinking about something while I'm doing something very tedious.
Everything on YouTube is a podcast.
It's getting there. I mean,
it's kind of getting there.
Get there. I mean, and the way like you can get 90% of the content from most of the stuff I watch without looking at it. Like the way they explain everything's very story driven, and like as a podcast we try to over explain certain things so that listeners can understand what we're still talking about.
Yeah.
I'm holding a hammer. I'm literally holding a hammer.
Hey, so what do you think what do you think? So it says TikTok creators have up to 100 million followers and earn blank a year. What do you think that is?
They're earning.
And this is TikTok creators that have up to 100 million followers. So there's obviously more than one creator that has 100 million followers, and they can earn up to. So somebody's hit the ceiling of so much money a year. What do you think that number is?
30 million.
Millions?
I bet it's Charlie Day-X or whatever her name was, the girl TikToker.
I would say 1.6 million.
It's in the middle. It's 5 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
Well, that's not brand deals. That's just money from TikTok.
Let's see. Yeah, that's just
TikTok. Like if YouTube
TikTok
gave me
out
ad revenue. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, that seems like they're giving them a lot of money though.
Gosh, 1 billion monthly active users. Isn't that crazy to think about?
For Facebook?
No, that's monthly. Okay. So instead of daily active users, that's monthly. You're getting a billion. So
it seems like it makes a bit more sense, especially compared to YouTube when its Adpocalypse happened, when ads started making like zero money for content, mainly because like it's such long form content on YouTube. If you have like really short videos, you can squeeze in so many more ads without pissing people off.
It's true though. I mean, unfortunately, I see like the same 3 ads every time I'm on there, but there's that one stupid shower head that comes up every single time.
What's it do?
Is it from Kohl's?
And they're like, this is the most powerful shower head, and
transform your experience.
Which, by the way,
Never
like you
seen
can only have so much water pressure in your house. I hope you know that, like legally. You know, like everything works a specific way, right?
Well, it's just
well, that's up to you. I just hooked up a water pressure thing in my house.
You popped all those things out.
What was the equation? My engineering.
It's this stupid like shower head that's got like these beads in it that are say this filter it first. They filter the water through these beads in the handle, and then the actual head itself, like on the back side of it, looks like there's a prop from a boat, and it spins. And like when the water comes out, it looks like it's coming out in this vortex.
Oh, yeah, because it'll cover more area that way.
Go on Amazon and read the reviews. The reviews are horrible.
Yeah, so...
And guess what? On every ad that's on TikTok, they disable comments.
Oh, perfect.
Great.
So every time you see an ad, you can't... Well, no, on TikTok.
Yeah.
So as soon as you go on and I'm like, you know what, this product looks cool. I might be interested in this. I click on the comments because I want to see what my peers think about this. There's nothing there.
Amazon's going to remove it. Amazon's going to get rid of the stars.
Yeah, the reviews aren't good. I was going to buy one and I didn't because I need a new shower head.
Yeah. So basic math here for water pressure, force equals pressure times area.
Okay.
So the force is, if the force stays, the pressure inside your house can't change. Like that is the set. So the only thing that's going to change is the area of the nozzle that the water comes out of. Smaller nozzle, like you hold a garden hose and you put your thumb over it and it shoots more forcefully.
Yes.
And if you have a bigger leaky faucet, then it's a trickle. So if it claims to be the fastest shower head, it just means it has very small pinhole size.
Sounds hateful.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you live in the Midwest and you have lime or calcium in your water, those tiny pinholes are just going to get clogged. Yeah. So
I want to have a water cutter in my shower. Just cut me up.
It doesn't make sense.
I would just rather take a shower with a pressure washer and be fine.
False advertising all over.
Well, and again, it was something I was like, it looks genuinely cool. I like to shower and I would like to have a nice shower head, but Amazon told me differently. I bought something else. So, but it's funny how all that works. We got 2 options, guys. We're crested over an hour here, but we can talk about Spotify, or we can go ahead and jump off.
Hot takes from everybody. Okay. Let's do the Spotify Neil Young. Hey, Neil Young, shut up.
So I'm ignorant to this.
Take. Yeah, I'll give you a little update here.
Okay.
So Neil Young is claiming that Joe Rogan is spreading vaccine misinformation or COVID misinformation on his podcast.
Who's Neil Young?
So Neil,
All the old people be mad
wow,
after that.
they just tuned out.
I didn't know who it was, to be honest, either.
That's okay. So Neil Young is a pretty famous, in most respects, musical artist from kind of back in the day.
Yeah.
He's been making music for decades.
Yeah, he's like John Lennon whenever he went on a Kanye album and nobody knew who John Lennon was.
Yeah.
But like he was part of the Beatles. So in the same vein, he wasn't obviously as famous as the Beatles, but that's like the premise. So, some famous old dude.
Some old guy.
Cool. Made music.
Some old guy.
Used to be popular.
He has a lot of opinions. He has a lot of opinions on music today and quality that comes along with that music. So he's not a big advocate for streaming, but I'll give you some more context on that because Tristan found some more data on that. But so Neil Young says, "Hey Spotify, I don't like that you are continuing to endorse Joe Rogan as he spreads misinformation, allegedly, on vaccines or COVID in general."
Which is his choice.
I have not listened to Joe Rogan in a while, so I have not heard these. So that's why I'm saying allegedly. I do not know what he's saying. I haven't listened. I haven't watched. So he says this, and he gives Spotify essentially an ultimatum and says, I stay on the platform and you get rid of Joe Rogan, or I leave if you're going to keep Joe Rogan.
Sounds like a PR stunt.
I always get all my politics from musicians.
Right? It's my favorite thing.
Just science in
politics
general.
on medicine.
So Spotify stood behind Joe Rogan.
Their $100 million investment, by the way.
Yeah, they paid for him. Yeah.
And so Neil Young is now leaving the platform, and that is what everybody is talking about.
Along with some female that I don't remember the name of that was like on the podcast, or just there's a female that was like attached to him.
She's another musician that has been popular in the past, from what I've read. I had no idea who she was. So again, probably the same age as Neil Young, getting up there.
Yeah.
I've never heard her music, didn't listen to it. Now she's saying that she's going to pull out as well. I say big whoop. I apologize to the people who know who she is and like her music. So I don't see the big loss, of course, just because of where I sit in my generation in the music.
It somewhere else.
Well,
we prefer the term privateer.
Privateering,
to add the one last thing to this so that you can decide your opinion on this whole thing, but like, we found out that it sounds like maybe Amazon is now trying to help pull,
they're trying to lure them in.
Well, they're trying to take Neil Young, and then pull him into the fold to be like, here's a little bit of cash.
Because they got their own Amazon music thing going on. Everybody does.
Shoot, dude. How many, I want to know like that step. You did the TikTok versus Facebook. How many people listen to their music on different platforms? Because Amazon Prime better be far down there.
I don't know. I hope so. I'll try to pull that up as David talks about his thoughts.
David. What am I supposed to talk about?
What are your thoughts on all this whole thing?
So I don't know. It's I never even heard of the guy, so that's I might have heard of his songs.
This is
fair, I don't know
a
lot of pop music stuff.
It's basically a tweet where someone said their opinion, and we're asking you who this guy is. You have no idea who they are.
Why do I give a crap? It's like I don't really care. My first jokey response is like, all those old people probably had that on CDs and mixtapes anyway. Why should they be listening on Spotify? But I mean, I don't know, and it goes around to like the freedom of speech type thing, and like whether or not companies are supposed to be enabling people to do that, because they own this service. They don't have to let anybody on there, and so that's why they paid someone to come on, Joe Rogan. And it kind of comes down to like semantics. I think it's just like, do you want everybody to be on it or not? And then like once people like do like the mob rule type thing where everybody thinks that you're out because X, Y, and Z. Not that I agree with anti-COVID or disagree. I'm generally disinterested in it.
Yeah.
I think it's a silly thing to be mad about. It's gonna Joe Rogan. He doesn't seem very. I mean, if you go to Joe Rogan about medical advice, I mean,
well,
he'll say eat a moose.
Eat a moose. What is? It's not venison. That's deer. What is
venison's just wild game. I thought
it was deer.
It's just
venison.
It's just wild game.
Venison is like I'm pretty sure that's like the young.
That's veal.
Oh, okay.
Young calf.
Yeah, let's look it up just so we're right here.
Scheme of venison.
Venison.
Elk or deer? Yeah, he talks about elk. Yeah, so it'd be venison.
Meat of horned ungulates, such as elk and deer.
Yeah,
so yes, you are correct.
Your venison and your elk will save you from COVID.
I don't
more
hunt.
power to you. I'll keep my distance away.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is getting
it's not
blown up out of
inspiring.
proportion,
Yeah.
and you're just like, really?
So the problem they're going to run into, Spotify, is the same issue Twitter did a couple of years back when Jack Dorsey went on Joe Rogan's podcast and talked about it, which is freedom of speech is great because you can say whatever you want. But the second the medium you're using, or the platform, in this case, Twitter, takes it within their ability to police, then you are now liable for anything said on your platform.
I mean, he's not asserting himself as like any authority over this, right?
Correct. So he's just, the problem with the Neil Young thing is Neil Young's upset that he's hosting people and giving them a platform to speak on because Joe Rogan's popular. Spotify loves him. They gave him $100 million to come to their platform. And then with that $100 million that they invested in him, he's bringing on people that have different opinions. Some people are pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine. Some people like swimming. Some people go boxing.
You know what? It sounds
it's a
like,
bunch of people.
It sounds like Spotify got what they paid for. They're getting...
Thank you.
Joe Rogan is getting people to talk about him in Spotify.
Yep.
And we're talking more about Spotify than we ever had just because of this.
Yep.
For sure.
So I think this is exactly what they wanted.
So I think as a company, I mean, this is not my stance for TRIFLIX as a whole, but if you're going to run a company and your purpose is to give people a place to express themselves, the second that you start saying what people can and can't say is the second that the legality of it changes, and then the government's going to step in and say, well, if you're policing certain parts of it, how come this is getting said? And the same thing with the PR side of it. People say, how come you let people say this, but they can't say that? And then you get into the dichotomy of like, oh, it's a politically left or politically right site. And then it's like, oh, that's where Tumblr's for these people and Reddit's for these people and Twitter and 4chan and Facebook. And it gets lame really fast because then it's just a big old echo chamber as if the algorithm didn't change it already.
My opinion is I don't need to have an opinion on this.
Yeah, which I get. And this is the funny thing. So I'm doing a little research as these guys are talking, and there's and again, I guess maybe take all this with a grain of salt. I'm pulling news stories and things online. So I hope that they're reputable sources. So I don't know. It says that Joe Rogan gets more listeners in one episode than Neil Young and the other lady, Joni Mitchell is her name.
Man, almost asked who Neil Young
They get a month.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a feeling that was probably...
And he releases daily, or at least 5 days a week.
It says Joe Rogan Experience has reported 11 million listeners per episode. And
really?
And I think that we saw...
Not including YouTube.
I think Tristan and I had pulled up Neil Young's page up on Spotify and saw that maybe his top song had about 5 million streams, something like that.
Well, to be fair, he probably sold a whole lot of albums when those were a thing.
Well, this is true, but just say.
Which is still funny, the fact that it's like an album can go platinum.
Yeah, right.
They just recently added streaming sales into the total for an album going platinum.
Yep.
Didn't help J. Cole at all, though.
But the funny thing is, too, is I'm pulling up the numbers that you asked for, Tristan, when it comes to like users and subscribers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's not... User-wise, it gets a little skewed, so we're going to talk specifically about how many subscribers to that service there are. The crazy thing is Spotify is so much higher than anybody else. They have 165 million subscribers in total, and Apple Music is like 60 million. Amazon is 55 million.
Okay. Wow.
And then YouTube Music, they report their numbers very oddly that I'm finding out here, because a lot of those people, if you're a YouTube Music subscriber, you're also a YouTube Premium subscriber.
Yeah.
And then like people also just go to YouTube to listen to music as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're like mixing all those numbers together. So they're like, there's 2 billion music users on.
Well, to be fair, Spotify users don't have to pay to use it either. But
correct.
The irony of all of this, as it wraps full circle, is Neil Young is going to leave a platform that allows a person to interview anybody, regardless of their opinions on controversial topics, to go to a platform, allegedly, that works child slaves.
Yeah, right.
Way to high road and
what are you going for? Yeah.
Yeah, well, go Amazon, go Bezos. To be fair, Bezos allegedly may not happen. This guy, Jeff may or may not be aware of it. Jeff may or may not be involved or help this guy out. Neil may not even go to Amazon Prime. He may wimp out and go straight back to Spotify because he realized that's the only platform worth listening to.
Oh yeah, here you go.
There's Apple Music. There's all that stuff.
Yeah, no, you were exactly. Neil Young offers fans free Amazon Music subscriptions during Spotify controversy. Yeah. So he's literally like, hey, you want to go to Amazon?
So clearly, Neil Young,
he's in the pocket of these people.
He either doesn't care or he made a very calculated decision.
Thank you.
I mean, he maybe he's just uninformed. But the guy needs to think.
I'm sorry, but if you're gonna like
high road.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, if you're going to go on and be like, Spotify is corrupt, Joe Rogan's corrupt, they're in each other's pockets, like, he's Spotify is sheltering him, and, like, the things he's saying are completely wrong, you can't turn around and be like, but here's a free subscription to Amazon Music.
Yeah. It's a personal choice whether or not you get the vaccination, but they're like, well, it's a personal choice if the kid worked that long. Oh, my gosh.
For 2 cents an hour.
I don't have any personal stakes in any of these big companies. I know they don't care about me, and they only care about money.
Yep.
And so like they're going to do anything they can. They're going to be as they can to make the money.
They care about you. They care about removing the dislike button, and they care about not leaving comments on your TikToks. That's what they want. They want the cash.
Yep.
The
they do.
Cash.
Yeah. Anyway, they're going to get it.
Yep. Oh.
There you go. That's a good note to end on. There you go.
Full circle.
Capitalism.
All right, everybody. Yay! Thanks for coming in. Let's give a big shout out. Get the clapper ready. Everybody go Neil Young. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Neil Young. Yeah, that's for you, Neil. All right, what do you got to say to him, Cole?
I had a baby.
30-second baby talk. Let's go.
I had a baby. I'm just going to throw that out there. So there might be an episode that I'm not on. Sorry. But beside that, the way I'm going to pay for this baby, go online. Check us out, guys. Go to TRIFLIX Cast on Instagram or on YouTube. We're in both spots. And you can listen to us on any major platform that hosts podcasts. Check us out. You can also go to our YouTube channels, TRIFLIX Films, TRIFLIX Team. Watch our content, guys. We're making a ton of it. It's awesome. Also, you can go to our website, triflix.com. Go check us out, guys. We do a lot of video work, a lot of photo work. We'd love for you to hire us because we love people. We love clients. We love working with people and making cool stuff, okay? So check us out. That's all I got to say.
Spotify.
We are on Spotify.
Probably Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Yep, I think we're on all of them. So whatever platform you like, use it. No matter whether
all the terrible
Neil Young's on there or not. We love you. Thank you for listening. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts too. That would be awesome.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Love you.
Not as much as Neil Young loves money.